Seventh-day Adventists in the United States and in Europe and in third world countries. For a little over a year now, I have been showing videos talking about the unbiblical doctrines held by Seventh-day Adventists, where they came from, how they were formulated, and have shown over and over there is no scriptural proof for the doctrines that the Seventh-day Adventists hold. And people have asked me why. The main reason is for Adventists and potential Adventists in third world countries. We have yet to hear a lot of the false teachings of the Seventh-day Adventist, because Seventh-day Adventists, like they do in a lot of other places, go into these places and never tell anyone who they are. And why third world countries? Because the Seventh-day Adventist in America is in decline and losing millions of members. In a 5-year period alone, they lost 1.4 million members. 400,000 of these members came from one division. This division that lost 400,000 showed a decrease of 104.75% of its members in about a 2-year span. And now Adventists in third world countries outnumber Adventists in America and in Europe, because now these Seventh-day Adventists have targeted these third world countries, because they know that many of these people in these third world countries do not have access to the media that people in the United States and Europe would have. And that is one of the reasons why so many people are leaving the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You have the old school that is going out and the new school that is coming in to the Seventh-day Adventists. This new school is made up of a lot of young people who are well educated and have begun to recognize the unbiblical doctrines taught by the Seventh-day Adventist. The one thing that the Seventh-day Adventists used for years to gain people, that is the media, that once was their friend, has now become their biggest enemy. Because people can go on the internet, on YouTube and in other places, and find out what Seventh-day Adventists are not telling them. They can find out the teaching of the Seventh-day Adventist and how they came about those doctrines, just to see how unbiblical they really are. And to the Seventh-day Adventist and potential members in third world countries, in Seventh-day Adventism, it is not about the interpretation of the Bible. It's not thus saith God, it's thus saith Ellen White. Their professors in their universities and their pastors are told, you teach what Ellen White said. It doesn't matter if it contradicts the Bible or not, you teach what Ellen White said. So it is no longer thus saith the Lord in Seventh-day Adventist. It thus saith Ellen White. And if you don't teach what she says, then you're gone. You're out of Seventh-day Adventist. And until the historical establishment is rooted out of the Seventh-day Adventist, it will be that way. It will always be thus saith Ellen White. And many of these members are beginning to see that, and that's why by the millions they're leaving Seventh-day Adventist. Because they see that her writings, and through her writings, how unbiblical the doctrines of the Seventh-day Adventist are. There are quite a few reasons as to why they're leaving the Seventh-day Adventist by the hundreds of thousands. The number one reason is they've recognized Ellen White as a false prophet. They have gone back and seen what she predicted and how none of it came true. They saw how she predicted the return of Christ herself, and it never came true. So they're seeing for themselves now that her writings do not match up to the Bible, and that she's a false prophet. Another reason they're leaving the Seventh-day Adventist has to do with another teaching of Ellen White. She and Seventh-day Adventist pastors and leaders tell you that the seal of God is the Sabbath, when we know from the New Testament that the seal of God is the Holy Spirit. They're reading that in the New Testament now. They're not paying attention to their pastors, and they're trying to find out for themselves, and they see how unbiblical that is. They're leaving over investigative judgment, something that is found nowhere in the Bible. Another reason they're leaving is because they're continuously asking them for money, sometimes taking up as many as 2 or 3 collections in one meeting. Another reason they're leaving the Seventh-day Adventist is because of the fallacy of the National Sunday Law, which is so absurd that any rational person would see that. So it's not just any one reason people are leaving the Seventh-day Adventist. They're seeing that all of these things are tying into Ellen White. As I said earlier, they're beginning to see that the Seventh-day Adventists rest on thus saith Ellen White and not what thus saith the Lord. And they're sick of it. And again, they're losing them by the millions because of this. And these young people who are entering the Seventh-day Adventists now may enter in for or be duped into it, but they soon realize that's exactly what they've been done. They've been duped. Because they're able to see now just how wrong the Seventh-day Adventist Church is. As one writer in the Seventh-day Adventist organization said, until they drop Ellen White, it will continue to be that way among the Seventh-day Adventists. Until they stop teaching thus saith Ellen White and start teaching thus saith the Lord, it will not change. And they will continue to decline, except for in these third world countries where they're gaining support. And for that reason, I continue making videos showing the unbiblical doctrines of the Seventh-day Adventist. And I know for a fact, because of a new feature that is on YouTube now, that I am getting hundreds and hundreds of views from people in third world countries. They have sent me email and even left comments in my comment sections. They were unaware of the teachings of the Seventh-day Adventists and just how wrong they were. And when they begin checking for themselves, they realize too that the Seventh-day Adventist organization is all about the thus saith Ellen White. Doesn't matter what God says. In fact, she contradicts God 2 or 3 times, even calls Jesus a liar. But that's where it is boiling down to the Seventh-day Adventists now. They're having to go into these third world countries because people in the Western world and in Europe see them for what they are and can find out the unbiblical teachings that they have. So I continue putting videos up. And these third world countries continue watching them. Not just mine, but others. Not just mine and others, but things they find on the internet. And they find that they can contradict them. And Seventh-day Adventists are trying to fight this day in, day out through various forms of lies that they put out in propaganda. That is what Seventh-day Adventist today is about. Thus saith Ellen White. It's nothing to do with thus saith God anymore. It's meeting Ellen White's prophetic agenda and what she has to say, and to heck with what God has to say as far as they're concerned. I look forward to your comments. And until next time, God bless.